David Benavidez just sent a message to the entire light heavyweight division and cruiserweight divisions of the boxing world with his unbelievable dismantling and destruction of Anthony Yarde with the brutal seventh round TKO. What a performance, guys. Performance of the night, 100%. Trust me, guys. His unbelievable boxing clinic that he put together for the entire world to watch changes everything. It really does. We have winners, guys. We've got winners. Ring 4, Saudi Fight Night. It was absolutely incredible. Anybody was at this event. You had Queensberry Promotions. You had Eddie Hearns. Connor Ben was there sitting ringside. You had Hamza Shiraz there. You had a lot of fighters. KSI and Speed were there as well too. A lot of noteworthy and celebrities were on hand. A lot of fighters, a lot of people in the boxing community, in the world of MMA and UFC as well too. It was absolutely unbelievable, guys. What we witnessed was some unbelievable fights. Like it was a boxing clinic. I mean, what these young fighters were able to do and exemplify in the ring, and showcase their boxing prowess and the skills that they've developed along the way in becoming a fighter, was on full showcase for the entire world to see. So if you guys missed this, I feel bad for you guys. But don't feel too bad, because you guys can probably find it. If you know where to look, you will find it. You want to watch this. You want to watch all the cards. It was absolutely incredible. I'm going to talk a little bit about the winners, and I'm going to give you my perspective and what this means for the sport of boxing, and what this means for some of the fighters that we were able to watch and entertain us. But it was absolutely incredible, guys. I don't even know how to put it. It was a boxing clinic. It was pure boxing science. These fighters have such a high boxing IQ and sense that they're tacticians. And kudos to Turki Al Sheikh and to the rest of the execs who are able to put these events together, because these are the kind of fights that people want to see, right? You had boxing skills on showcase. You had speed, agility. You had heart power. I mean, the pressure on these fighters and the stories that they're living through and they brought with them to Saudi. It was on full display. It was on full display. And it was absolutely incredible, guys. So I hope you guys get a chance to watch it. I don't do any justice at all with being able to try to reiterate what it is that I was able to witness, because for me to be able to take that in and disseminate it, or to articulate the fabric or the foundation of what I'm trying to say, and to be able to disseminate it to you, it doesn't do any justice at all. You had to have watched it, but I'll do my best to be able to just give you my perspective and kind of what this means for the young fighters that we watched, and for the sport of boxing itself. But I was absolutely glued to my chair. There was things I had to do, running, errands that we had to run. I watched UFC early in the morning because UFC was in Qatar. That was incredible, guys. We had some unbelievable story twists, and that Arman Sakurian, wow, what, like, the way he beat Dan Hooker, absolutely incredible. And then of course, you had Ian Machado Gary. He took on Bilal Muhammad. I actually thought Bilal Muhammad was going to have the edge in this one, but no, Ian Machado Gary, he took it. This Irish fighter is a phenom. He is absolutely incredible, guys. And the entire division is waking up to his dominance over Bilal Muhammad. I think this is it for Bilal Muhammad in the UFC. I mean, he's a former world champion. He's an incredible fighter. He's got so much heart power. And he looked good. He looked good. He felt good. He said he felt good in his training camp. He did. He felt like he did all the right things, but yeah, Gary was just at a different level. And then the interaction when Gary met Khamzat in the hallways, and Arman was there as well too, and I'm not sure about Ilya Tapuria, but there was a moment where Ian Machado, Gary, and Khamzat kind of like embraced a little bit, like hey guy, like acknowledging each other. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, some words were exchanged, and Khamzat just reaches over and pushes Ian Machado, Gary, calling him a you know what, some explicitives, and telling him that he was going to F him up. And he had to be careful. Wow. There was so much drama in that. So I'm going to try to see if I could do a video on that. But tonight, and then later, of course, later in the evening, then we had the ability, we had the, shall I say, privilege of being able to watch such beautiful boxing, guys. It was absolutely incredible. What a performance. So let's get into it, guys. I'm Shiraz. I'm your host for Duality 7X. Here we try to cover all the latest and trending stories when it comes to the world of boxing, MMA, combat sports, UFC, WWE. And if you guys are new here, please make sure you smash a like and subscribe. It definitely helps us out with the algorithm, gives us the opportunity and ability to continue to pump out these videos for you like we do on a daily basis. And please hit the bell notification so you guys never miss a beat. So let's get into it, guys. From the very, very first round, Benavidez made it completely obvious to Yarde that although Yarde was and looked stronger, physically stronger, Benavidez is simply the more complete fighter. He is so gifted. He has so many tools under his belt. His boxing IQ is at a completely different level. His speed, his combinations, his counters, his guard, his defense, his pressure, it was completely unwielding. And Yarde honestly had no answers. And look, Yarde is he's such an incredible and gifted fighter himself. But this is it. When you have two of the best locking horns and going head on, you're going to have one winner. But in this case, it wasn't even a very, very close fight. I mean, it went to the 7th round. There were a lot of exchanges going back and forth. But that 7th round TKO finish by Benavidez, that sealed the deal for his victory. But again, as I alluded to earlier, it sends a very, very strong message to fellow cruiserweights and light heavyweights that you guys better be on notice. You guys better watch out and walk around with with one eye open and with eyes at the back of your head because he's coming. He's got names and he's got numbers, and he's coming for people. Benavidez is the real deal, guys. And look, in the beginning, like every round kind of looked the same. Yarde kept getting backed into the ropes, and he's trying to counter, fire some single shots, while Benavidez is kind of like unleashing like blow after blow, flurries of these bombs coming out of his fists, and he just kept piling on the damage. I think that was Yarde's mistake by continuing to get backed up into the ropes, because it didn't do his game plan any justice. Even if he had a game plan, I hope he brought it didn't look like he brought a plan B, plan C, because plan A completely failed for Yarde. Again, phenomenal fighter, not taking anything away from him. He's absolutely gifted. He's an unbelievable talent, but yesterday he took on a phenom. He took on somebody who was just better all around, a complete fighter, the total package in David Benavidez. What a monster. the savage barrages of flurries that Benavidez was piling onto Yarde when he was backed into a corner. You know, like, and I'm talking about round 7, and this is what kind of did him in. Because Benavidez did actually get a point deducted for punching after the knockdown, but honestly, it didn't matter. It wasn't even close. I mean, you could have deducted 2 points for all that matters, but Benavidez was clearly the victor in this. He was too far ahead by points. Too far ahead. And then seconds later, after Yarde went down in the 7th, and seconds later, just another avalanche of left hooks and hands. It essentially, like, it was enough for the referee. The referee came in. He jumped in and called it a TKO at 1 minute and 59 seconds. And that's it. The statement was made. It was over. Benavidez won, and he won decisively. And then, after Benavidez is talking, he's grading his own performance, and he's like, I'm going to give myself a B+. I mean, there's definitely room for improvement. There's always room for improvement. But the real gem was Benavidez was talking about how people didn't believe in him, and he didn't and believe in his power at 175 pounds. And he was saying something along the lines that he made it look better than Artur's Beterbiev and Kovalev. All right? And so this is what I mean by sending shots out to the entire division. And he's calling out names as well, too. And he also said that this fight went exactly how he expected. A war with the guy that's been in there with the guys of Artur's Beterbiev and Kovalev. But even though the fight went as expected, according to Benavidez himself, he still gave himself a B+. Didn't even give himself an A. So if he felt happy and satisfied with his performance, right, against Yarde, fantastic. But if he feels there was a lot more improvement and room for him to grow, guys, this is just the beginning. If you take Benavidez if you take him at his word, essentially he's saying that there's more to come and it's going to be better. He's going to be better. So what's the next move for Benavidez? Because I think he's going for a 3rd division. Right? And just as I say that, some news articles, breaking news came in, bombshell news, David Benavidez is moving up again. Guys, that's very hard. Anytime a fighter moves up, moves down, it's always going to be hard. And what? Who did he call? He called out names, guys. He called out Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez for the WBA and WBO cruiserweight titles. Just think about that, guys. He's calling out Ramirez for the WBO and WBA titles at cruiserweight. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And he wants to do all of this on May 2nd, next year, Las Vegas, where he's going to be amongst his people. Right? Benavidez chasing a 3rd weight class. I mean, this man is on a mission to secure and forge his dynasty, and more importantly, his legacy, his historic legacy. He moves up to cruiserweight, and he's calling names like that. Oh my gosh, guys. It's going to be absolutely crazy. And what do you guys think? If Benavidez does take on Zurdo, does he dominate Zurdo? Does he really have the power at cruiserweight to fight him? Drop your thoughts and comments below, guys, but I'm not done. There was another fight that I've been tracking. I actually did a video on this. I did a video on the lead up to this fight about how the fathers of these young fighters pretty much stole the show. And I'm talking about Bill Haney and Brian Norman Sr. Bill Haney and Brian Norman Sr. were just chirping away the whole time they were, in Saudi. There were the skirmishes between the two camps. There was fighting and cursing and yelling. If you guys don't believe me, watch my video. Watch my video and you'll see the opening few minutes was just pure chaotic. So just imagine these two fathers were stealing the spotlight from their children because it felt like they had some scores that they wanted to settle, to the point where I think Bill Haney, Devin Haney's father, was calling out Turkey Al Sheikh and saying, hey, why don't we sanction a card between myself and Brian Norman Sr. here? I mean, yeah, it's kind of embarrassing. It's kind of entertaining at the same time, but it was just shocking. But anyhow, guys, the children stepped into the ring and they came to deliver. Devin Haney, Brian Norman Jr., I mean, they delivered one of the biggest bounce back performances to date. It was unbelievable. And I'm talking more so about Devin Haney, because Devin Haney had some... There's a story about Devin Haney, okay? He needed this performance. He needed this bounce back opportunity to come out and to make a statement. And, a lot of people wrote him off ever since the whole Ryan Garcia thing and all that. And guys, I talk about it in my other videos as well. I don't want to spend too much time on it here, but a lot of people were questioning Devin Haney's, not necessarily his physical ability in the ring, but more his mental. And they wanted to know what Devin Haney were they going to get in the ring. And if he came in with 100%, like if a good mindset, and if his mental game was on par, then he's going to have a strong shot at, beating Brian Norman Jr. And that he did. He dominated Brian Norman Jr., completely dominated him, guys. Brian Norman Jr. is he's a tactician. He's incredibly gifted, incredibly talented. He's got that explosive knockout power ability, but Devin Haney owned him in the ring yesterday. Yeah. And essentially, look, Devin Haney is here to stay at 147 pounds. And whatever went wrong, guys, in 2024, throw that out the window, because Haney just flipped the script in such a huge way. And he's here, guys. He's here. He's not going anywhere. I think he's back, and I think he's ready to go. And look, guys, I mean, you could doubt Devin Haney all day long. I mean, do as you please, and there are going to be a lot of naysayers out there and people who are kind of anti-Haney and stuff like that, and they're going to say, oh, well, he got a lucky night, and, they were in Riyadh, they were tired, and this and that. Yeah. At the end of the day, Devin Haney performed like a clinic, a boxing clinic on Brian Norman Jr., and it wasn't the old Haney that we saw. This was somebody new, guys. This was a whole new version of Devin Haney at 147 pounds. And it was unbelievable, guys. I loved it. And look, he came into this fight with everyone watching to see if he still had it. Imagine the pressure. Imagine the pressure, guys. And imagine the skirmishes and the melees and all the circus that followed these two fighters, and then for them to go into the ring. Just kind of similar to kind of like Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, the amount of pressure they had carrying their families' names and that legacy and all of that. That's exactly kind of what happened here, right? And look, people were counting out Devin Haney. I talked about it. I alluded to it. I don't want to go into too much details, but Ryan Garcia, guys, even though that match got overturned, it still messed up the whole narrative surrounding Devin Haney. But Saturday night, guys, he flipped that narrative straight. Okay? He flipped that narrative straight in his head. He walked down that ring looking confident, calm, cool as a cucumber. Like, I've never seen him before. And no more draining himself, no more forcing the 135 to 140 pounds. This was a grown-up. This was a new version of Devin Haney at 147 pounds, and he looked, and I'm assuming he felt very comfortable at that. So let's keep it at that. He didn't even waste a second. Round 2, he was firing bombs, guys. Like, I mean, Norman hit the canvas, and I honestly didn't expect Haney to be the aggressor. I mean, he's such a skilled fighter. I thought it was going to be a little bit more on the passive side of things, and he was going to try to win with his finesse. But it was completely opposite. Devin Haney was the boogeyman. The guy who's been running through dudes with these brutal stoppages, the aggressor that nobody thought he would be. And he stood in that pocket, guys. He timed it beautifully. And the moment Norman hit the floor, Haney leans over. This iconic picture. You can see it everywhere, guys. Haney leans over and talks straight to his face as Norman is down. Norman is looking at him. His eyes are connected with Devin Haney. And Devin Haney's just staring him down, talking to him. That was cold. It was personal. It was beautiful, guys. It reminds everybody that Devin Haney is around. He's not going anywhere. And, you know, Norman he didn't look so loose. He looked very rigid, stiff kind of, you know. Haney, you know, started hitting him at those jabs, clipped him at some beautiful hooks, some counters. And Norman looked like, for most of the fight, he was searching for different tools that he could use. You know, what could I use against Devin Haney? Because nothing was working. He kept shutting the door on Norman Jr. every time Norman Jr. tried to come out with something. And then late in the fight, Norman finally wakes up. But by that time, guys, it was too little too late. It was done. There was just nowhere or no way for him to be able to mass any kind of strong points or even a counter to the momentum that he had lost throughout the rest of the fight, because this fight belonged to Devin Haney. Unanimous decision, and he picks up the WBO welterweight world title and the 3rd division. Check that box off, because he's a champion, right? So this was a complete reset for Devin Haney. It was very important because the horrors that he had to go through from 2024, where he said he lost everything, and then for him to come back, you know, with such a spectacular fashion, such a spectacular win, it erases all of that. And now he's going to reclaim everything that he's lost. That's his mission statement, guys. That puts Haney right back in the spotlight, and it reminds everybody, including us, that there's going to be some crazy potential matchups at 147 pounds. No more 135, no more 140. Devin Haney, you stay at 147, that's where you look good. Right? And he proved he can hurt guys that are bigger than him or guys that are bigger. And so that weight class is definitely going to suit him. It just, for now, I think it's going to be great. He showed a lot of power, a lot of courage, a lot of timing, a lot of heart power, a lot of confidence. Things that we haven't really seen from Devin Haney in the past. But like I said, this is a new Devin Haney, a new version. Devin Haney 2.0 at 147 pounds. And he looked great. He looked comfortable. He looked strong. And he made a statement, which I love so much, because now I can't wait to see what happens next. Right? What an unbelievable bounce back performance. I was super stoked and super happy for him. And now, look, I don't want to jump the gun here, but is there a possibility we can see a Devin Haney versus Terence Bud Crawford match now? Potentially at 154. Yeah, that means that Devin Haney's going to have to go up a little bit. But, I mean, we're talking about 7 pounds. 7 pounds is a lot, but, I mean, you know, he's proven that he could go up, he could go down. I think he's great at 147. Either that or Terence Bud Crawford comes down to 147. Either way, this fight would be massive. Massive. Right? So just think about that, guys. That could be a potential matchup, right? And Look, he's only 20. He's only, look, he's got a lot. He's got a lot of fight years. But Norman Jr., don't count him out either. Very, very skilled fighter. The guy's only 24 years old. He's going to take this loss. It's going to hurt. But he's going to bounce back. And he'll come back. And guess what? He'll come back stronger. This loss is going to turn Brian Norman Jr. into something he probably wishes he never wanted upon himself, which is becoming a monster. So the future now of the world of combat sports and boxing just got very, very spicy. Super interesting, guys, and I can't wait to see what happens. Anyways, guys, we're not talking about luck here. We're talking about a pure boxing clinic exemplified by Devin Haney over Brian Norman Jr. And now the question's going to come down to is, who does everyone want to see Haney fight next? That's what I want to hear. I want to hear your thoughts and comments in that. And real quick, guys, I don't got a lot of time, but I want to quickly cover Bam Rodriguez and his shakeup against Martinez. Look, Jesse Rodriguez, what an unbelievable fighter, guys. I mean, he's probably one of the most cleanest, most dominant fighters that are around. He stopped Fernando Martinez in round 10. If you guys watched my video earlier, my fight predictions, I said this is not going to be a quick fight. It's probably going to go the distance. But Martinez is not going to, and I predicted Rodriguez to win this fight, but I said that Martinez is not going to let him win it easily, right? He's going to make him feel every second, every round, and that he did. Martinez is an incredible fighter, but this time he came up short because he didn't have all the answers that he needed to fight Jesse Bam Rodriguez's style. Okay? And so, I mean, at 115 pounds, look, I mean, you have Inui, incredible fighter. Incredible. I talked a little bit about him before, but I want to talk a little bit more about him because now things are starting to get really heated, really interesting. So there's maybe that potential fight that's coming up. I hope it's on the same card as potentially a Brian Norman Jr. or Devin Haney. That would be absolutely incredible. Maybe even Benavidez. Maybe they need to run all these fights back, but with different fighters. It would be phenomenal. But Bam Rodriguez, he's a destroyer, guys. That he is. And I want to talk about Abdullah Mason. And actually, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought here for a second because I was thinking I could maybe incorporate this into like another video and just kind of combine the elements, but it's just going to be too much, guys. But I do want to talk about Abdullah Mason because wow, this kid, man, he's unbelievable. He just made history, and I'm so happy to have watched it. I enjoyed watching this fight so much. I mean, this guy's the real deal. Right? I mean, he's a 21-year-old kid. He became the youngest active male world champion in boxing. Can you imagine? And he picked up the vacant WBO lightweight title. But trust me, Sam Noakes, like he wasn't a pushover. He didn't make things easy by any stretch. Noakes is an incredible fighter. He's also, he's also got a long boxing life ahead of him. I have a feeling he's going to come back and he's going to take this loss. It's going to hurt him, just like what happened with Brian Norman Jr. But he's gonna take this and he's gonna use this as his hunger to come back bigger and stronger. I know that's going to happen. But for Abdullah Mason, this is his moment, right? And we're not talking about a quick knockout here. This wasn't just like a pure clinic. It was a battle. It was a complete war between two unbelievably gifted, talented boxers. And Mason, he's flashy. He's fast. He's super talented. Noakes, he's got that gritty British kind of, UK skill sets with, the same kind of feel and look that a lot of the top British fighters have. And Noakes did not make it easy. And for the first half of the fight, guys, honestly, there was a lot of pressure by Noakes, and I thought, okay, Mason, there's some moments there where you think Mason's in a little bit of trouble. Look, I said this in my last video. The concerns that I had, like I predicted Abdullah Mason to win this fight, but the concerns I had is Abdullah Mason's never been past the 6th round, never in his career. And Noakes, he knew those stats going into this fight. He didn't care. He dragged him into deep water early. And there was a cut over Noakes' eyes as well, too, from an accidental head clash in round number 3. But he kept on trucking, guys. This guy is a bona fide fighter. He didn't back off. He just kept going and going and going, forcing Mason to fight more on the inside. And that's what Mason did. He had to adapt to that. And he changed his style a little bit, his approach. And he was comfortable with that. But these guys are like banging on the inside, man. Like they were in like in a little closet. Body shots, uppercuts, hard counters. There wasn't that much room for defense. These guys were landing big shots against one another, right? But then this is where Mason showed up. The championship level stuff that people have been talking about him, associating him with. He came, he delivered. And that's what a lot of good fighters do. People talk all kinds of stuff about these fighters, and then what's really sad is that these guys fight and you don't see any of that come to light. But in this case, everything that people are talking about Abdullah Mason, he was exemplifying it against Noakes, right? And he was putting on a lot of pressure on Noakes. Noakes was putting pressure on him. He was putting just as much pressure on him as well, too. And those uppercuts, man, they were brutal. Noakes was never really able to adjust to that. He wasn't able to adapt to it. And then in round 10, there was a moment where Mason actually won the whole fight. He landed this brutal right uppercut to the body, to the liver area of Noakes. They even talked about this. Even the boxing analysts are like, oh my gosh. And he just took the air right out of Noakes. You could see it. Noakes just froze. He kind of dipped. And you could see that his soul coming out of him almost, right? But his insanity, his fortitude was just too powerful for Noakes to just crumble and fall like any average fighter or boxer would have. Noakes' fortitude and his ability, his willingness to survive kept him going. And then he started to take over a little bit. But then Mason, he quickly, as soon as Noakes started to get a little bit comfortable, Mason was right there to just send him right back to the end of the line. Mason landed 214 punches compared to Noakes' 156. And there were cleaner shots, guys. He beat him in power shots, beat him to the body. He out-jabbed him. Basically, he beat him in all the stats that counted. So Mason goes 20-0 with 17 by way of knockout. He's officially the youngest world champion in men's boxing, passing Xander Zayas. It's absolutely incredible, guys. And he earned it, right? He went further than he's ever been before. Good for him. He needs to train like that. Maybe he's going to have more fights like that. Now the level of competition is only getting harder for all these fighters, right? Mason had to adjust. He did that. He had to bite down, dig down deep, and pull together. Pull himself together so that he could continue to fight at a very elite level, like he exemplified last night. He's just not a hype prospect, guys. This guy's a real deal. All right? So anyways, that Saturday belonged to Mason. He showed that he's been on top, right? Under the top under 25 list, and he showed why people think he's actually a superstar, because indeed he is. I enjoyed it. Look, I think Noakes deserves a lot of credit. He came to win. He pushed Mason harder than he's ever been pushed before. He didn't care about the stats. He didn't care about all that. He came to do his work, his business. So Noakes at 135, good luck. He's going to be a challenge to anyone who tries to fight him. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy, guys. So anyhow, that's it, guys. It was absolutely great. I loved it. Ring 4, can't wait for the next one, guys. The promoters are unbelievable. The staff, it looked like everyone was having a great time in Saudi. I wish I was there. Love to go to one of these fights and see it firsthand in person. But whoever was there, if you guys were fortunate enough to have gone, I think you guys had a treat. Probably one of the best boxing fights, best boxing cards this year. Anyways, guys, that's it for me. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. I'm going to be putting out some more videos about the drama that ensued at UFC Fight Night in Qatar. And then, of course, we're going to have some more storylines that are coming out of these storylines that I just shared with you. Lots to talk about, guys. So please make sure to smash a like and subscribe. Hit the bell notification so you never miss a beat. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.